Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name's David Luna. I'm the Vice President of Global Sales and Marketing at ORION Fans, division of Knight Electronics. I'm here to talk to you about building international partnerships in an unpredictable global environment. Back around 7 years ago, our company had relied mainly on a type of super rep or rep distributor in UK to handle our products and sales and even shipments into Europe. We had a warehouse there of about 10,000 square feet, and it seemed to work pretty well, but business, even after 27 years of doing this, had been pretty stagnant. I think the most we'd ever done is about $750,000. So at the time when we were trying to expand more into the European market, we wanted to figure out what do we need to do? What can we do to kind of grow that business on our current model? The current model wasn't working. So what we decided to do was to figure out a way to be a little bit more local. We figured out to be global, we need to be local, because it seemed that a lot of our customers wanted to work with some local distributor or a local contact in each of the countries. Plus, we wanted to do the same things we had done in the U.S. And that were very successful. In the U.S., obviously, you have manufacturers reps and franchise distributors that work with you and do the business for you, and it works out really, really well. Our business in the United States has grown dramatically in the last several years, but our European business was, like I said, was stagnant. So we didn't want to have any shortcuts. We wanted to duplicate what was going on in the U.S., but in Europe. How to get to those tier one countries that were doing business, like Germany and Italy and France and other countries, because it seemed that some of our global distributors were selling there, but really didn't have relationships there. We looked at what the competition was doing to try to see if they had a foothold on that industry, but we really couldn't tell if of how they were doing it. We just knew that it wasn't working for us. So we looked at how we could get into programs and programs with maybe some local distributors that were available, but we needed somebody to go out and find out how to get to them. So we started kind of working with some of our state and our U.S. government with the commercial trades, found out that they had services available, because we also figured out we really needed to meet these people face to face. We couldn't do it just by hearsay or by our website or by email. We really needed a face-to-face contact with some of these potential local distributors and customers. Our whole business is based on value proposition. Our fan company obviously is a fan company that has many other competitors out there, but our whole business is rooted around our capabilities and our ability to have inventory and our ability to service our customers. And to do that, we have to have product. We have to have product on the shelf, and we have to have distributors that are going to support us with that business, but we didn't have that in Europe. We also wanted to do this by, coming and trying to communicate on a regular basis with these guys, we had to try to train them. Typically, you wouldn't make a lot of trips to Europe, but we did plan to make 3 to 4 trips a year, and then hopefully go train these distributors. But we really wanted to try to figure out a way to get into these locations. So we did that by going to the trade shows. We found out some trade shows that are very applicable to what we sold, to some industrial training trade shows. We also wanted to do that face-to-face distributor training so that they knew what our product was. Plus, they wanted them to know us, and then obviously if we could go out to see customers. So that was the plan, and that's what we did pretty heavily in 2016. And through the help of our with the U.S. Commercial Services and our state government and trade shows and things like that, we were able to build our business up to about $4 million. The question now was, and this new pandemic comes up, now we can't get there. So what do? In 2020, I was planned on coming to a show in Milan. About the time the pandemic came out, I had to cancel the flight, had to cancel all my plans. But we still wanted to try to do some business and do what we had intended to do, which was set up some distributors. We were very successful in setting up some local distributors in key countries of Germany, the UK, Italy, one in Israel, through the help of commercial services. But again, it really helped when we could be there and meet face to face. Now we can't. What do we do? And what do we do with this pandemic in place of not being able to go visit your customers? So we really were trying to figure out a way to continue the growth, but try to do it differently. Again, not have those shortcuts, but what do? We were trying to figure it out, trying to do Zoom meetings as much as we could, still try to give the same features that we were always talking about those value propositions, about our inventory and stock. We had plans to go see some of our customers and potential customers to very many trade shows, a trade show in Hanover, a trade show in Milan, as I mentioned, a trade show in Munich that we always go to every 2 years, and then a new trade show that we're going to in Mexico that was very beneficial for us, but those were all canceled. So we had to figure out what to do next. What strategy could we do to continue our success? We still needed some channel partners. We still needed some countries supported by a local distributor. We looked at trying to do some work with Austria, still needed somebody key in France. But we were also looking at other countries just to get that exposure. If there was a possibility, we were looking to try to have maybe a regional distributor, maybe one of these larger distributors that had multiple locations or multiple sales offices in some of these countries. So that would have been obviously a key for us too. But again, we had to be able to find those connections. And again, having that super rep or that rep distributor in the UK wasn't doing for us. They were really controlling the UK business, not very much in Europe. So what we found out was, hey, back to the people that helped us before, the federal and state governments. The state has been working with us since 2015 by providing these STEP grants. STEP grants are available from pretty much most states. These are grants that you can use as an SME, a small medium enterprise, and it's available for helping you to export, to offset expenses. Before, it was to offset travel expenses and going to these trade shows and doing the marketing that you needed to do. But again, what happened with this was when COVID hit, no more travel. What can we do? How can the STEP grant still be available? Luckily, in the state of Texas, they did change things. They allowed us to use a lot more marketing dollars toward the STEP grant. Since travel was off the table, we had to figure out how to use these STEP grants. They even increased the amount. I went from $7,500 to $10,000. So everything the state did for us worked in our favor, which is great. It allowed us to do some presentations, some webinars internationally, which was great in 2020. But again, we still needed to get those connections. And with the services that were available from the U.S. Commercial Service, and to be able to do these international partner searches and market checks, in the Commercial Service, they have offices pretty much all over every country in the world, about 82 countries So what we were able to do was kind of search out those countries that we wanted to work with, and then ask the people at the embassies of each of these countries to go out and do a partner search for us, which worked out good in some places, bad in other places, just depended, but we still needed to get those connections. We did a lot of things. We set up video conference calls. We set up in conjunction with the commercial service group. We also listed our capabilities through a program called Fuse, which is the featured U.S. exporters program, which helps as well. It gets the name out there. It starts getting your exposure. Again, working with the state of Texas, they typically will try to work with us on trade shows, but again, those were taken off. But these virtual conferences that we're able to do, they were able to work with us and pay for those. So really worked really well. And we were able to continue what we had done in the years previous. So 2020, for us, and here's a little slide on the commercial service groups, a little attaboy for them and their network. As I kind of mentioned, if you are in the United States and you're an SME and you're in some of these states that have a commercial service office, or possibly a DEC, a District Export Council, if you work with them, they'll give you counseling. They'll give you, tell you market intelligence. They'll work with you on some matchmaking, these international partner searches. It's a lot of things that are available that we, let's say, 5, 6 years ago, didn't even know about it, didn't know they existed. But once we found out, we were very well impressed by what they could do. I think it's 128 international offices in 80 countries, as I mentioned, covering about 96% of the export market. Great program, great people. The nice thing in 2020, the services that they provided were free of charge, which was even better for us. So we didn't have to use marketing dollars or some of our STEP grants for some of that, even though their services typically are very low. At $750 or less to do a complete partner search in that country. To have it free was even better. So doing that, what we did was we were able to schedule numerous meetings with different countries, with different commercial service groups. We were able to add some new distributors this past year, 2020. We were able to add a regional distributor in Austria that covers over 30 countries, which is a fantastic win for us. And then a distributor in Spain, which we really didn't have anybody in Spain, which just happened at the end of this past year. And then just recently, we signed another regional distributor out of Switzerland, all through the help and support from U.S. Commercial Service. So very successful. I can't say enough about what they do for us and what they've done for us and helped us. So basically, what did go there mean? I mean, in 2016, when we first started going to Hanover Messe, as the U.S. was a partner country, we finally got a taste of what the exposure we could get with companies and individuals and industries that we've not dealt with before. Hanover Messe is one of the largest industrial automation shows in the world with 210,000 attendees. The U.S. government is very well involved with the Hanover Messe. So for 4 years straight, we went to the show. Had very good success. We were Exporter of the Year in 2019 through our District Export Council. Obviously in 2020, they canceled it. So again, we had to do something different. Electronica, which is another show in Munich, is a big distribution show. So our global distributors go there, but some of the local distributors go there too. We were actually able to get our Italian distributor through Electronica. But again, it's every 2 years. It obviously was canceled in 2020. So again, we left us places where we couldn't go. And then the MCE, which is the Mostro Convegno Expo Comfort, is basically an HVAC or air conditioning type show that's like the ASHRAE or the HVAC show here in the States. One of the largest in Milan. It's over 85,000 attendees. We attended it in 2018. I planned on being there in 2020 when all the plans got changed. So there's a lot of things we could have done in these shows that I mentioned, the one in Mexico, which just started up recently. And it's part of the Hanover Messa program, but now in Mexico and Lyon. So what are we going to do? We hopefully are going to start these shows back up in 2022, maybe possibly at the end of this year. 2021, there's a possibility that we'll have the ITM, the industrial one in Mexico, and then Hanover will be back. So again, we're planning on being there. So what do you got to do? Sometimes you got to change. You got to change the way you do things. It makes sense. How do we get our products and branding out there? You got to look for ways. Luckily, we were able to get those with the U.S. Commercial Services and the ability to use the STEP grant toward the use of our marketing and efforts, which again could be costly, but if it could be offset by a STEP grant, it's even better. Right now, we're running programs with certain media partners. We've been doing that for about 7 years. It's worked very well for us. We're also, looking at how the competition goes out there, how we can address our competitiveness. So look at our value propositions, doing things differently, but doing things the way we've always done it without any shortcuts, going after the market the way we know to go after it, to show our inventory and what we have, and then to show that local distributor to support the customers in each of these countries. Local distributors is very important to us. So I think in one of the slides you had seen, I realized that to be global, we have to be local. So globalization means localization. That's kind of a mantra I've used since 2016, and it's worked very well for us. So, you have to look for those deals. We're not finished. We still have several countries that we're looking at. We're working with South America right now, looking at doing the same thing in Brazil. Possibly some things in Bulgaria or Croatia or the Czech Republic. We're looking at doing some things with that. Very active. We work on our website to be available for our distributors and for our customers, but we do things that we have to do to get our exposure out there. So there are ways. You do have to change, but there's things that you can do to make it happen. So what did it do for us? Just to give you an idea, which I kind of mentioned, in those 7 years, we've grown from that $750,000 to over $4 million this past year, which is incredible considering what happened last year. We have 3 distributors in the UK. We've got the one in Austria, which I mentioned is covering 38 countries. The one in France, one in Germany. We have one in Italy, one in Israel. We just recently signed the one in Switzerland, which covers over 15 countries. And then we actually have 2 in Turkey. One that's in Ishmael, and then one that actually has a facility in the States, in California, but also has a branch in Turkey. So continue to do what we do, look for those opportunities. If the trade shows comes back and we can be face-to-face, we're going to be there, obviously, because I believe in face-to-face. But at the same time, you got to do the things you got to do in the programs you got available, the Zoom or the Teams or things like that. You have to do it. Now I'm looking forward to getting back to Italy and seeing some of my distributors, which I hadn't got to do before. So that's pretty much it. I think we're going to have some questions at the end of this. So if we have any questions, I'll be available to do that. I thank you for your time. I appreciate that you're able to hear about what I can do for you, hopefully, or give you suggestions. My email is down there below. If you have the opportunity to send me a note of what you're looking for, if you need any help, I'd be happy to do it. But I think we're going to start with questions now. So let's go for that. And if you have, again, any questions, let me know.